The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass podcast. This for UFC 248. We got the main team together here. Zach Pencer at Zach from the Back Tees, or FTBT. He's behind the sticks. And Cody Saftic is here with me in studio to break down UFC 248. Great card. Really exciting after like, you know, having other cards recently that haven't really fit up to the bill. This one's a really good one all around.
And that's why I wear my nice shirt. Normally we break down shit cards, I wear my shit shirt. But now we finally got a good offering. I need to wear my good shirt. So, let's keep the good times rolling. The last couple of cards, I mean, we keep talking about how, like, not a whole lot of value, tons of passes, and then for whatever reason, things have been lining up and working out for the most part. So now we have a good card, which should be easy to break down, and for whatever reason, probably going to be plenty of apple pie shitters. But hopefully you can help me find those, Paul.
Yeah, before we get to that, we got UFC winners from last week. We had Tully 936. It's like I have dyslexia or something. He wins $100 for doing the giving us a iTunes rating or wherever he downloads his podcast, giving us a 5-star rating, saying something nice about the show. Goes a long way. 100 extra bucks to Tully 936, and then Debt Money is he got $20 for the regular giveaway in the comment section.
Excellent. Which
is what you do, because we're gonna have another one this week. Is you leave your DK handle. You got to give the episode a like, clearly, and then tell us. There's a lot of guys on this card. So you got Yoel Romero, you got Safarov, guys who have like maybe not full-blown cheaters.
Oh, we're going down that road.
I'm not even saying from like a USADA standpoint or anything like that. I'm saying like Safarov will like, you know, he held the shit out of the fence in multiple fights now. Like, he's looking to grease the wheels a little bit. We got Jingliang Li, who can never forget him, absolutely, like, basically trying to tear Jake Matthews' eyeballs out in the middle while he was stuck in a guillotine. Real effective strategy.
Not trying.
Damn, not trying.
You didn't get choked out by
And
that
then who
guillotine.
can forget Yoel Romero, Stoolgate, right? So it's like, I'm probably missing a lot of people. I just thought that there was a lot of, like, you know, interesting cases on this card. So biggest cheater in the UFC, DK handles, and like the show. Yeah. Let's get into the action, why don't we? Israel Adesanya taking on Yoel Romero in the main event. Adesanya minus 275, Yoel plus 235. Take it away, Code.
People love to complain. Why is this guy getting a title shot? Oh, I can't believe Jose Aldo. 2 losses. In Yoel's case, nobody gives a shit. It's like, this is chaos. Great. Yoel always gives everybody a tough fight. Doesn't matter if he wins or loses. At least we know he's got the intangibles to make this an interesting fight. He always brings it. He'll offer Adesanya a different look. It's just 275 for Israel Adesanya. Listen, we all know at this point, he's a proven champion. He's a proven commodity. He's getting better every time. The people that doubted him going into the Gastelum fight still had a little bit of doubt coming out of it. Yeah, he got the win. It was a gut check performance, by the way. I think when you go into a 5th round where it's like, I need to turn it up, this guy's hurting me, this guy's working his way back into the fight, it really shows your merit, your mettle, what you're made out of, and he gave a good showing of himself. Now people are like, oh, I don't know. Got hurt by Kelvin Gastelum, who's 5'9". How's he going to do against Whitaker? Smokes through Whitaker. Now they're believers. Now people are on the bandwagon. The problem is that the bandwagon is steamed to 275. Yes, he's undefeated. Yeah, he's looked great. Yeah, he's, you know, the legitimate champion. And he's fighting a guy coming off a loss. But man, I mean, Yoel Romero, he's such a big wrestler.
2 losses, but, you know, in a different galaxy, a different world,
right.
Yoel wins all of these fights. Like, they're always so close.
There's a lot
the
of
Costa fight, the Whitaker fight, the guy's just...
Yeah, and in the case of the Robert Whitaker fight, it's a split decision against the champion in a 5-rounder. And most people walk away from that fight being like, you know what, I actually thought Yoel won the fight. And then the Paulo Costa fight, it's a crazy fight. Mind you, he doesn't attempt, really, to take Paulo Costa down. He just stands in front of him. And still... does a really good job, loses a split decision. Mm-hmm. It's like, man, this guy can grapple with the best guys. He can strike with the best guys. It's what game plan he's going to put forward here. He shouldn't go in with the idea of, I can defeat Israel Adesanya in a pure kickboxing match. But he might. It's you got to use the wrestling, man. I mean, listen, Adesanya's built, his frame is built specifically for this guy should be easy to take down. If he was a John Jones type that wrestled in college, spent a lot of time in his wrestling, you can use that type of body frame, that long lankiness, as an advantage. But in his case, it's like you got to think it's easily to get him up against the cage. I can take him down. Kelvin Gastelum should have had that wrestling advantage. But again, didn't try to use it. He stood in front of him the entire time. So when we think about Adesanya...
He got a couple takedowns, but yeah, he didn't really do anything. I think Adesanya's grappling has improved significantly since, his debut fight against, who's the Australian jobber that he took on?
In his debut,
Maybe it wasn't his debut. It was Rob Wilkinson.
Yeah, and he went to decision with Rob
Yeah,
Wilkinson.
and you could definitely see the holes back then. I don't think those holes are the same way, but Yoel Romero, if he decides to wrestle him, the problem with Yoel is that a lot of times he's just like, nah, let's bang.
Yeah, well, Yoel just loves to bang, and I think that's
why the people love him.
where it starts to be tricky. If you thought, geez, you know what, he's at American Top Team, he's got the best coaches in the world, like why wouldn't you go in with the game plan of, no one's really tested this guy in the wrestling department. Why not go in there with that? Listen, Robert Whittaker is a guy that apparently had qualified for the Australian Commonwealth team, right? He has made great improvements in his wrestling and is a good wrestler. Certainly a better wrestler on paper than Israel Adesanya. Look at both times that Yoel fights him. He takes him down 4 times the first time, 3 times the second time. It's like he can take down superior wrestlers. The Chris Weidman fight. Chris Weidman's a great wrestler. He takes down Chris Weidman twice. Yoel is just so explosive. He's so fast. Even though he's 42 years old, Father Time just has forgotten about him.
Genetics blessed this man.
Maybe he thought
he
had fucking died a couple years ago and has just completely forgot about him whatsoever, but he doesn't seem to age. So as long as we take off the 42-year-old thing off the table, he's a better athlete, certainly, speed-wise, than Israel Adesanya, who's a good athlete as well. It's just Yoel's on a different level. And again, if he uses that speed, athleticism to beat him to the punch, hurt him, close the pocket, take him down, like why can't he have success? By the way, Israel Adesanya is undefeated in MMA, but I mean, he's had losses in kickboxing and he's been knocked out in kickboxing. So wouldn't be crazy to think that Yoel can stand with him for pockets of time. It's just why he's probably going to go in there and decide, hey, I'm going to stand and strike with this guy for the majority of the fight. And I don't see him winning a decision. I really don't. I think if it does go 5 rounds, Adesanya's going to get the decision. And if it does end early, Adesanya could take out Yoel Romero.
Yep.
But Yoel is either going to have to... I don't know. That's where it becomes troublesome. 235 is so tempting. And everyone's a big Yoel Romero fan.
Yeah.
And everybody knows Yoel will make this a 50-50 fight if he has his way because there's just so much chaos in his fights. I mean, so much happens. But I don't know.
And everyone knows that Israel Adesanya was on Ariel Helwani's show on, Monday? And he's got staph infection on his arm. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how much it's going to affect him. He doesn't seem to think it's going to be an issue whatsoever. And I tend to, trust Israel Adesanya because everything that he said, he's delivered on. So who are we to say whether it's going to affect him or not? But it's definitely there. I don't know how much it would affect him by any stretch of the imagination.
I also
that's there. But I mean, at the end of the day, Yoel Romero round 3 plus 1,400. Yoel sometimes just goes, hey, I don't want to do anything. He'll just dance around for a couple rounds, and then at some point he just decides I want to murder someone. 14-1. That's my YOLO bet of the week. I'm gonna have a smallest little sprinkle on that just so I don't miss out. Because he's done it 7, 8 times. It's absurd when you go through his record. And all of those fights are the same. The Chris Weidman one, he's down 2 rounds. He goes into the corner. And it's just
the Lucroco fight. He's not doing anything, and all of a sudden he absolutely knocks him unconscious, and then kisses him.
At some point, sometimes he just decides he's gonna kill somebody. Oh, I have a little thing. A little greasy theory alert, Cody.
Yep.
So you know how a lot of the times you're he says he's 35 years old, but he looks like he's about 42. This is a thing that you say. Sometimes it's with Russians.
I say it all the time.
What if Yoel is that, but the exact opposite? And Yoel's actually 35 right now. Nope. And he just it'll be a lot more funny if people think that I'm an old man. And this guy's just going to be fighting until he's 55.
Yeah.
But he's actually going to be 40, 45.
You know what? And I don't even think it would be something.
He could be lying to us.
Right. To further that greasy theory and just add some bullshit facts to it, I would say it's less of a chance that they were hey, this would be funny, you're an old man. More of a chance of, I'm in communist Cuba. I would like to qualify for the Olympic team. Are they going to take the 26-year-old or the 22-year-old? they're going to take the 26-year-old because he's a bigger, stronger, more developed athlete. What if I just lied, said I was 4 or 5 years older, qualified for the Olympic team, motherfucking defected off this island, and never looked back? Yeah, sure, I had to physically go to the Olympics with this birth certificate. So now that I'm living in Miami, I'm going to have to ride it out. But whatever, who cares if people think I'll be the new Randy Couture. When I'm 47, I'm going to be still fighting, and people are going to be like, wow, you broke the record. Anyways, I doubt it. But yeah, he just moves so unbelievably well. The last point I want to throw on there is just going back into the 275 on Adesanya. Is like, again, I do have him as the favorite. I am picking him to win.
I am too, yep.
However, yeah, there's no denying. Listen, he beats Rob Wilkinson in that UFC debut, and then he beats Marvin Vettori on a split decision. The other wins are Brad Tavares, Derek Brunson. Didn't look good against Anderson Silva. All those guys are non-contenders. So
Silva fight was a weird type of fight in general.
Yeah,
but that's just the way.
It was a very weird fight. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, Rob Wilkinson's a non-contender. Marvin Vettori's coming along, but is a non-contender. Brad Tavares is definitely a non-contender. Derek Brunson had his best days way before he fought Adesanya, is a non-contender. Anderson Silva certainly had his best days long before Israel Adesanya, and is a non-contender. Kelvin Gastelum is a welterweight that moonlights at middleweight and gave him one hell of a fight. And then the guy fucks up Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker had been off for 14 months and had a pile of injuries. So 275 seems like you're so sold and like this is the next guy.
I mean, he may be the next guy, and I kind of want him to be the next guy.
But Yoel is going to show us if he's the next guy.
I know.
Because Yoel hasn't fought a bunch of non-contenders.
Yoel's a tough fight for anybody. That's what it really comes down to, because he's good at everything, and he just has these explosive moments sometimes that you're just like, oh my God, this is a bad man.
Of course, but when you look at Yoel's fights again, it's like he fought Chris Weidman, the former champion, one of the best in the world. I know he's on the backswing, but one of the best in the world. He fought Jacare Souza, who's been one of the best in the world at the weight class for a long time. He's got the 2 fights against Robert Whittaker. He fought Paulo Costa, who's the #1 contender in the division. All he fights is murderer's row and gives a great account of himself every time. Adesanya has fought a bunch of non-contenders, and outside of the Whittaker fight, I thought he looked good in Gastelum fight. But really outside of the Whittaker fight, it's not like he's I don't know. I just think 275.
He's looked great. I think he's looked pretty great, man.
And
I think he's
win.
delivered on everything, and I think he's gonna win. But
I would hedge out if I put him on my parlay.
But if I were,
and I probably will.
Gun to my head, if I had to bet, I would bet the plus 235 on Romero, just because he's a dangerous dude. But I don't know. That's early in the week right now. We still have to see how the rest of the week plays out. I mean, Yoel, there's high weigh-in risk in this fight with Yoel Romero making weight.
Okay, so, and this is a perfect segue.
Is this Ray Borg? No, but, and then, yeah, it's a perfect segue into the next fight, because I think we covered all bases on the main event. So let's go into the co-main event, where there is also probably weigh-in concerns for Zhang Weili taking on Joanna Jedrzejczyk. Weili minus 165. Joanna is plus 145. And Joanna was, she came back, and she's been making 125, now going back to 115 to try to reclaim her belt.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be dicey for her. It's always been dicey for her at 115.
Yeah, not only has it always been dicey for her at 115, she moves up to 125, presumably because the weight cut's too much for her. She wants that win over Valentina Shevchenko, and quite honestly, it's just not meant to be. So now she comes back to 115 against Michelle Waterson, and everyone will remember the lead up to that one, where it's like, she's asking for a catch weight, like, is she not going to make weight? And then she comes on record being like, no, I am going to make weight. I was just asking if I could get a catch weight. And then Waterson was just like, no, like, you're going to make the weight. And she did. And the fight went ahead. But it's like, again, this is just a history of Joanna struggling on the scale to make 115 pounds. The last couple fights prior to her going up, losing the title to Rose, is just like, I wouldn't say she's damaged. Maybe it's a weight cut issue, but it's like she seems ever so slightly chinny. You know what I mean? Like Viola Letourneau catching her. Obviously, Rose Namajunas knocking her out. She's just had these moments where in the fights where she could be cruising, she could be dominating, but she will get caught by that one shot. She will get stung by that one shot. It's just kind of like a history of it in her fights. Now that she's gotten a little bit older, she's 32 now, she's struggling with the weight cut. She's so much far superior as a striker as Rose Namajunas, but it doesn't matter. Because again, and I was talking to John Pollock and I told him the same thing. If you're a high-level wrestler and you take on a very solid wrestler, the high-level wrestler is going to out-wrestle him. If you're a high-level grappler, you're a jiu-jitsu guy, you're a high-level, you're Rodolfo Vieira, and you're taking on just some other black belt, you're going to fucking beat him, right? But if you're Gokhan Saki, you're the greatest kickboxer, and you take on a good kickboxer, it does not fucking matter. because you're wearing 4-ounce gloves and punching each other in the face. So in this, and I'm going to say the same thing, Joanna's a cleaner striker than Zhang. She really is. It does not matter because at some point she's going to get caught by Zhang's power, and that's going to be the difference maker. So going back to her struggling at 115, she wants to go to 125. I know I can't beat Shevchenko, but I'm going to give it a go. Comes back down to 115, beats Waterson, looked okay against Waterson, don't get me wrong.
But was concerned about making weight the entire week.
Yes, and now we've got 25 minutes to deal with where you have a speed advantage over this girl and she's got a power advantage. And you know what? I literally just watched a similar fight last weekend where it's like Benavidez was way faster. He was landing 3 punches for every one that
The body kick was landing.
Everything was landing. It's just, you know what? Every time Davidson landed anything, it was like, oh, he got his attention. And I believe it was a head clash set up the right hand. But regardless, it was like he landed that kill shot. Rose is an excellent kickboxer. She's a fine kickboxer. She's a world-class kickboxer, the same level as Joanna, no. But she landed that big shot. Now, is Rose known for precision striking or big power? Precision striking. Zhang's known for big power. And by the way, there's a lot of talks going on about how Joanna is a superior striker. Sure, she's a superior striker. But like, by that much of a margin, I don't think so. Zhang throws excellent combinations. She has good hand speed, and above all else, she has the power. I don't see
built
Joanna
like a shit brick house for a 115-pound woman, man. Like she's very that was a very
and
crushing
Joanna
defeat.
went and poked the fucking bear by putting out that goddamn post with the gas mask on, alluding to the coronavirus, and Zhang's fired up. She's been in Vegas the last 8 weeks training. And the fight,
Well, Zhang's camp was a little bit dicey all the way around.
Well, she's had to do some traveling to get to Vegas, but at least
She had to get out. Yeah, she had to get out of China to Thailand, Thailand to like Dubai. I think finally to like Vegas,
to Las Vegas. Yeah.
Maybe there was another stop in between. I'm not 100% sure. So it's been a bit dicey for her, but I don't know. Everything I've seen on her, she seems very, very ready. And man, I mean, we saw what happened to Carolina, who's kind of fallen off the map, obviously, recently. But I can never get Carolina spinning back fist, knocking down Joanna. That was the moment that I was just like, Joanna's durability is questionable. And I do think it's weird. It's weird to say in a women's 115-pound fight that I think that the finish is more likely. And when it happens, it's obviously going to be Zhang Weili because she's the finisher. If this does go to decision, I do see a path, obviously. Joanna just throws so much volume she definitely, like, we go 5 rounds, just the amount of volume that she is able to put out there. It's hard for her to lose any fight because most people can't keep up. Zhang's, when she does go to decision, though, another fighter that's like, she's at least averaging like 20 significant strikes per round. So she's usually pretty active herself. And even like when she's been a little bit slower, it's like against like Tisha Torres or Danielle Taylor, who are both fighters who actively kind of avoid engagement at all costs.
Yeah. And then going back to this, I did present the argument in the first fight that maybe Israel Adesanya is being overhyped because he hasn't fought the same class of competition as a guy like Yoel. It's like, yes, that argument could definitely be presented here. Joanna is a former champion who's fought at least the best the division had at the time, and then has fought up a weight class, 125 pounds against Valentina Shevchenko, and lost every single round, but at least went 25 minutes with her. She's got all the back class in the world. Whereas Zhang, no one was really giving her that much of a shot against Jessica Andrade. She smokes Jessica Andrade in 43 seconds, and all of a sudden, hey, everyone's up on her. But 165 is a reasonable price tag. Now, yes, I agree with you. If Joanna has her weight and it's a 25-minute kickboxing match and she's throwing 3-4 times
and staying out of close range and staying out of the clinch, staying out of those exchanges, then it's
definitely her path.
She can definitely win that way.
The reason why that's not quite enough, and Joanna's my baby, you know, of all people know that.
Absolutely.
The reason why that's not quite enough to sway it, in my opinion, this time is I feel like Zhang's got the size and got the strength. And when you look at Valentina Shevchenko, who's a far better kickboxer than Zhang, by the way, that size and strength, it was like Joanna didn't commit to the punches the same way. Now you're worried about getting countered. You're not fighting Jessica Penne anymore.
And Valentina wasn't too concerned about what was coming back.
Was not, because the punches didn't hurt.
And I think that's going to be the same with Zhang. Is going to be like this.
Joanna used
the volume is there, but she's going to have to like stay away. And I think Zhang is just going to be able to walk right through it.
Exactly. And when you look at Joanna at her best at 115, a lot of decisions, right? It's like she can land 150 strikes. She can land 100 plus strikes, but the power might not be quite there. So, like, do I think she's got the stopping power all of a sudden to to take Zhang out? No, she'd probably have to extend her out over the course of 25 minutes. But if it goes 25 minutes, that's what's going to give Wei Li the chance to catch her. And then the last point being, and I've been so sold on Joanna for her whole career, but the second Rose fight, the first one, whatever, she got caught. The second one, she loses the first 2 rounds. She wins the second 2. She wins 3 and 4. It's 2-2 going into the 5th.
Yep.
You're the champ. You're the former champion. You've got all the backlash. You're
And
the best.
you are the fighter
you are
that...
the best. And you just won the last 2
And you're the type
rounds.
of fighter that never loses round 5.
Yeah, and it was just like...
This is your game. You're like Max
it got
Holloway.
away
It's just
from
like it just amplifies up. It's just volume.
And it got away from her. And I think that was the moment I realized, like, you know what? Maybe she's fought so much in Muay Thai. She's fought so much in MMA now that she's like, such big fights and just being at the top of the game and the mental stress. And, another thing that we don't talk about because why does it matter? But like, she was married or she had a fiance. And now all of a sudden this guy's out of the picture. And you got to wonder, like, where's she at? Where's the thought process at? Where's all these things at? But she came back and she beat Waterson, and maybe we can put those issues aside. But now at 165, looking at Zhang, I mean, I could see it's a good enough price tag for me that I would say Zhang either catches her at some point or just does enough to make sure that the judges know that she's landing the better strikes over the course of 25.
All right. I think we gave those 2 fights quite a bit of time, but I think they both kind of deserve the amount of time that we gave them. We'll amp it up a little bit here for the next 10 fights. We got Beneil Dariush taking on Dzhokhar Klose. Beneil Dariush, minus 165. Klose, plus 145. What you got here, Cody?
Beneil is just so unbelievably frustrating in that he's got all the skills in the world, man. I mean, literally, this guy's got world championship level skills. He actually is a very underrated wrestler, very good with his single leg, good at pursuing the takedown, getting guys down. His striking, come a long way, training with Rafael Cordero, obviously, and the body kick. I mean, he's got a nasty liver kick on him. And then, obviously, if the fight hits the ground, his jiu-jitsu is just on a different level. He's a world champion, I believe, at brown belt, but I mean, he's a black belt now, and he seems to compete with the better guys. His last time out against Frank Camacho, surprisingly enough, is also a BJJ black belt, but it was like,
levels.
Dude, it was like white belt first day versus black belt at the gym once they physically hit the ground. There are levels to it, no doubt. But you also got to think, like, there's moments where you watch him where it's like, oh no. I mean, going back to the Hernandez fight, sure. The Evan Dunham fight, he's up 2 rounds and he completely shits the bed in the third. 10-8 round causes that one to be a draw. The fight with Drew Dober 2 fights ago, he's getting, and Dober proved to be a little bit better than maybe everyone gave him credit for. But again, like, he is getting mauled on by Drew Dober until he eventually gets the fight to the ground and submits him. There's a lot of bit of worrying there because all the skills in the world, I'd love to back him. I just don't know. I just don't know what I'm fully going to get. Yeah, maybe the chin. Now, this is going to play out well against Dzhokhar Klose, who seemingly has no punching power.
I mean, the guy's a decision machine.
He's a very talented fighter in that he knows what to do to get the win. You know, he's the kind of guy that you feel confident putting money on because you know he's just going to do exactly what needs to be done to get the win. If it's 1-1 and he thinks, I just got to press him up against the cage for this third round, he'll do it. Whereas, like, Dariush is a little more exciting. He's a little more dynamic. He goes for it. Klose is more of a points fighter. He's safe. That probably isn't enough to beat Beneil Dariush, right? You got to sting Beneil Dariush. You got to hurt him. You got to give some type of X factor, right? I feel more like Dzhokhar Klose, who's a guy that just goes through the motions, he might have success in point kickboxing, right? But he would just have to throw more. He'd just have to outpoint him. And I don't see enough volume out of him to think that that's going to be the game plan. As far as, like, kicking goes, he's got a good kicking game, calf kick and all that. But if he goes to the kick, he's opening himself up to get taken down. If the fight does hit the ground, yeah, we're talking about how good Dariush is on the ground. But, like, Klose is good enough to survive. It's just, if he does get taken down, I don't think he's getting back up. I think Beneil Dariush...
And he is at risk of getting submitted. I mean, Dariush is just so good when he gets to certain positions.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's going to.
But the thing with being a decision machine is that just, like, you just go... I mean, like, if you're in a bad spot, it's not like, shit, I got to get back up. It's like, I'll just put myself in a spot that I can take the least amount of damage and have the least to worry about him passing my guard and possibly submitting me. Again, when I talk about run-of-the-mill contenders versus a guy that has world championship experience, Beneil Dariush has now been fighting in the UFC for a number of years. I mean, 6 years now, I think. And he's fought top contenders. He's fought, guys that have been at the top of the level. He's fought in up-and-comers. He's kind of fought a good run-of-the-mill. Whereas Dzhokhar Klose, he hasn't... with Beneil Dariush, he'll win a couple fights. You want to give him that big fight. You want to see, I want to see someone tested against Beneil. Whereas Dzhokhar Klose, Lando Venata, Bobby Green, Christos Giacos, David Taymor, Mark Diakese, it's all fringe contenders outside of the top 15. That's kind of the level that he's at. Beneil Dariush is a little higher than that. Where I would be worried about that shot that maybe lands on Beneil or Beneil's game plan going out the window again, it's that Klose just doesn't have the type of power to back him at 145 as a dog. He's a bigger dog. Maybe you go with he figures out a way how to squeak out a close decision. But he plus 145 is not enough. So Beneil Dariush minus 165. That's what I'll go with.
Yeah, same here. We got Jingliang Li taking on Neil Magny. Li minus 170. Magny plus 150. I was actually kind of surprised to see this one so wide. I haven't made any plays on it because I wanted to talk to my my secret weapon here, obviously, first. But they're kind of pricing this one like Neil Magny's complete dust.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, like, he got knocked out by the Ponzi scheme in his last fight, but he's had a lot of time off in between. We know that this guy can push a real pace, has really good gas tank in general. There is basically no power. His frame doesn't really allow him to. He's just really, really long, lanky. But, like, he can pop that jab out. He can kind of win at all different ranges. His grappling isn't too bad. I don't know if he's got the best wrestling takedowns, but, yeah, he's pretty solid all the way around. Maybe the books are not convinced that he can really take the punishment anymore. He's been in a lot of wars. You got to remember, like, the Gastelum fight and a bunch of them. But, like, the guy has been pretty good in the past. So, like, I'm surprised to see a plus 150 here. I don't know. I want to hear what you have to say before I make any decisions here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a risky fight. I think it's a dog or pass situation. I wouldn't be comfortable playing Jingliang Li as the favorite at minus 170 because, yeah, Magny's another one of these guys, again, knows how to win, knows how to do what he's got to do to win rounds. At his best, he's got to rely on that MMA wrestling. I mean, the striking, like you said, there's not enough power, there's not enough substance behind it. That could he keep a guy at range? Sure. But these bigger, stronger, stockier guys that have power shots, they're just walking in the pocket and they're hurting him. And he's the kind of guy that can be hurt. We have seen that Lorenz Larkin. We have seen that his last fight, obviously, Santiago Ponzinibbio. That, like, once you breach that pocket on him, he is vulnerable to the strikes. Mm-hmm. Do I see Jingliang Li walking through the pocket and hurting him? Yeah, he could, but that's why Magny's going to have to get this fight to the ground. The thing is with Magny is that he was always been an overachiever, right? He was never supposed to get all that far. I mean, he was on The Ultimate Fighter, and he was just a mid-pack guy in The Ultimate Fighter.
Robin Black used to do is Neil Magny really that good? Because, like, Neil Magny was on, like, a 6-fight win streak at one point. Now he was fighting just, like, every other week and just fighting whoever the UFC would give him. He was always, like, the late replacement type of thing. Well, yeah, he went on a real run.
But think about this, right? He got knocked out on The Ultimate Fighter by Mike Ricci, right? Who never amounted to much. Was a very talented fighter, by the way. Never really amounted to much after that show. And he got knocked out. He still makes it to the UFC, where Sergio Moraes just absolutely made him look abysmal with that triangle choke. And then he proceeded to lose to Seth Baczynski. It's a miracle that the UFC actually kept him. They gave him Gaston Umlatov, who's cut, Rodrigo de Lima, who's cut, Alex Garcia, who's cut, William Macario, who's cut, Kichi Kunamoto, who's cut, Hungyu Lim, who's cut, Eric Silva, who's cut. I mean, they gave this guy a very good service.
Yes.
Now, he has the win over Kelvin Gastelum, and that's the big one. And Damian Maia ran through him. Beyond that, it's like the Hector Lombard fight, he's down 3. The Johnny Hendricks fight could have gone either way. And it's a lot of, like, in between. He beat Carlos Condit, but Carlos Condit can wrestle whatsoever. Whereas that's the problem here is that Jingliang Li is strong enough that he should be able to stuff some of these takedowns.
I forgot about the Lombard fight when I was saying earlier. Yeah, Neil Magny, like, that was a life-changing type of beating that he somehow withstood, and then
he withstood, and then he came back to deliver it right back to Lombard and finish him in the third. But it's like Neil Magny again. He's winning those fights. The Johnny Hendricks fight, I was at it, and it was like literally the whole place booed. I thought he won. Whole place booed. Like, how the hell did they gift this guy the decision? But he's an overachiever. He's done well. But now you give him 14 months off. He's been sitting on the sidelines. He's coming off. It was a big spot for him. It was a headlining fight against Santiago Ponzinibbio. He made it 4 rounds in before getting knocked out. But now he's 32, coming off the bench.
But I like the fact that he had 14 months off.
Yeah, because if
he came back like 2 months later, I'd be like, wow, this guy's still probably like sitting in a dark room.
I agree.
Single day.
But I also don't know how many improvements he may have made in that time or he may not have. Now, going back to now, and we can move on right after this, but I will say a slight dog or pass. I'm leaning more towards a pass because, Jingliang Li is not a great grappler. I mean,
he will poke your fucking eyes out. I mean, like, by poke, I mean he will gouge them.
But Jake Matthews is a natural 55er who now campaigns at 170, but he's a natural 55er who was able to take him down and control him. I mean, that was his path to victory. That's what he did. He controlled him and he won. Neil Magny is a legitimate 170-pound fighter, training at Elevation Fight Team. He's surrounded with, top-class training partners on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, why can't he use that length? Remember, he would do that thing, tie up the outside arm against the cage, peel you to the ground. That, yeah. He's crafty. And all he needs is a few takedowns, and he can make this happen. He took down Kelvin Gastelum, who's a good wrestler. He was able to he's taken down decent wrestlers in the past. I do see a path to victory. And for 150, I'm interested in poking a little deeper into this on my own time. But for right now, I'll label it a dogger pass.
We got Alex Oliveira taking on Max Payne Griffin. Cowboy Oliveira at minus 140. Griffin plus 120. Cowboy Oliveira is like, I mean, you gotta love his like swagger and everything about.
Oh yeah,
how
three
he
fight losing streak.
I mean, it's, in terms of like this guy comes to like throw down.
Yeah.
And he's either gonna win or lose doing that. And recently, obviously, it's been a lot more losses. So he may have like a back against the wall type of mentality coming into this. But like Griffin, I think is the much more technical fighter all the way around. But. I mean, yeah, I think I would probably be more leaning towards Griffin just kind of outpointing him over the course of over 3 rounds. I think it was before we came on the show, we were saying it. Max Payne Griffin. We were talking
Great nickname.
We're talking to Zach behind the sticks about the best nicknames on the thing. Cody liked Max Payne Griffin. We were like, but it's kind of weird that he's like more of like a point fighter.
But have you ever
He
played
should be
the
like
video
a big
game, Max
roidy
Payne?
juice boy type of thing, you know? Just like with tattoos all over his face, like Max Payne.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, give me the a little bit more of a tepid affair here. Alex Oliveira tries to make it a fight, gasses out. Max Payne Griffin takes over. Maybe a fight that I'll look for in the live window. Maybe Griffin loses because he can't really take the onslaught early on. Look for him by decision after round 1 if you think that Alex Oliveira is tiring. What's your take here?
Yeah, one thing I'll give Griffin is that he seems to go to decision in all of his fights. And yeah, Alex Oliveira definitely has cardio problems. But I think Alex Oliveira at least gets up 2 rounds before he gasses out. And when he does gas out, I'm not seeing enough out of Griffin to force that stoppage. Griffin is, again, I don't want to say the same thing as an overachiever, but like his run in the UFC has just been like, this is it, man. You're going to get cut if you don't win this fight. And he finds a way to win that fight.
Yeah.
But he's fighting mediocre competition at best. Curtis Millender, who's since been cut, Thiago Alves, Alex Morono. You can make the argument he won the Thiago Alves
Milner
fight.
was good. Like, wasn't that bad, though.
But he's since been cut and signed back with Bellator. Thiago Alves probably shouldn't have won that fight, but it was close enough, and it was in Brazil that they gave it to him. And he's such damaged goods, you don't think he's going to fight again. And Alex Morono, who's coming off an abysmal showing his last time out at 247, was also able to soundly defeat him. The one win he does have in that mix is the Z-Man, Zelima Madaev, who was supposed to be the shit. And ended up being
The apple pie shitter.
Holy fuck, did he shit my apple pie. But again, I went fully on just like buying into the hype, and everyone said how good this guy is. And like, oh man, he's making Magomed Sharapov look embarrassed. It's in hindsight, it's like, fuck, Magomed Sharapov's at 45. This guy's a welterweight. No wonder. But it's like apparently they call him Zabit 2.0. Like he was really supposed to be something, and I bought into that more than the footage suggested, and it didn't work out in my favor. But I can't give Max Griffin this whole, dude, you took all of that guy's shine. I just think it was more so he exposed him. Now, friends don't let friends bet on guys that just decision lost to Alex Morono. So
I know, yeah.
He's 34 years
You're
old.
right.
No improvements have been made.
That's why
and
I
he
will
just
wait.
fucking lost to Alex Morono.
I will wait for a live window, if anything, on this fight.
Yeah, fair enough. So and then I look with Alex Cowboy Oliveira. It's like he's on a 3-fight losing streak. So people are going to suggest, man, pink slip fight for him. Job's on the line. He's got the ultimate thing to fight for, his job. It's like, nah, motherfucker. He already has the ultimate thing to fight for. He's got 8 kids with 8 different women. This guy needs a win bonus.
And
like
he's
you
a
wouldn't believe.
curtain jerker on a pay-per-view. That's why I think even if he lost, I don't think they're going to get rid of him. Because you know what he's going to do? They're going to start that pay-per-view, and this guy is going to dance.
Yeah.
He's going to dance his way into the cage. People are, and I don't know if you ever,
For
I've
sure.
been to a Alex Oliveira fight live, and it's just like, there's a real energy in the crowd. Like, people love it. I'm sure the UFC loves it, and that's why they put him in this position. Like, there's a whole bunch of great fights on these prelims here that could also be in that position,
sure.
but they want, the guy who was dancing with Mike Perry last time. Like, it's a good vibe watching Cowboy Oliveira come into the ring.
Yeah, so minus 140 plus. We haven't even talked about the fact that I think he has a significant wrestling advantage. Like if he takes Griffin down,
very strong.
He's super strong, especially at 170 because he's up
Especially
a
in the
weight
first
class.
2 rounds, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. He's more strong at 55, but at 170 he shouldn't gas out hopefully as bad. And yeah, going back to his last losses, like I can make some excuses for why he pulls this one out. Anyways, minus 140 Oliveira. I think that's a fair price.
We got Sugar Sean O'Malley making a return after like 2 years. USADA ban. Taking on Jose Quinonez. A pretty steep price here, minus 365 for Sugar Sean and plus 305 for Quinonez. O'Malley's 25 years old. I liked what I saw from him. There were definite holes in his game, but you got to remember he was 23 years old back then. I look at the guys at the MMA lab right now, the guys around his weight class, like the Mario Bautistas, even Hunter Azer. There's a couple other guys that are escaping my
MMA
my
labs.
brain right now.
They got a
but yeah,
great
they've got
gym
a bunch of guys who are fighting pretty decent right now. I think we're going to see a lot of improvements from him coming into this fight. And yeah, I can understand the price, but it is really steep for a guy coming off of a 2-year layoff. So I won't be making any plays on Quinonez, but the price right now, it has been coming down slightly. Maybe we'll get something a little bit more playable. But right now, it's a pass from me, but O'Malley is the pick. I just think that we'll see real improvements from him after a pretty long layoff, but I think he's still been in the gym grinding, getting ready, and adding on to a skill set. Like his stand-up game is pretty dynamic, and there's a lot of room to grow, I think. What's your take?
Yeah, no, listen, I completely agree. I think that there's a difference between coming off a injury layoff or a suspension for a couple of years and you're 31 years old and you're coming back at 33 years old, and it's like, what am I going to get? But the difference between 23 and 25, I mean, it's got to be nothing short of improvements. And here's a guy that now financially, because hasn't fought a whole lot, he hasn't made a whole lot of money fighting, but like, he makes money playing video games, and he's got a little
smoking weed.
Yeah, like he's got a financial backing to him. That's just like, if he has spent the time and he seems motivated to get back in there and do the damn thing, I feel like we are going to see a better version of him. It's just I don't love betting 365 on a we should see. Mm-hmm. It's hard to realize what you're going to get. Listen, the Andre Sukumath fight, injury aside, right? Because he could have lost that fight if Sukumath wasn't such a fool. It was a competitive fight. Sukumath is a good kickboxer, but he gave him a competitive fight against this young kid who's still green, who's still growing. Now you still take a kid who's still only 25, he's still young, he's still green, he hasn't had a ton of experience, he's still growing, plus he's had a few injuries and a couple of suspensions, coming back into the mix against Quinonez, who has been my moneymaker. Mm-hmm. The thing is, and we just talked about it in Max Griffin's case, it's like he's been a moneymaker against just the worst. The worst guys. Chimi Morales, Joey Gomez, Diego Rivas, Trudeau Ishihara, Carlo Huachin. You know what they all got in common? Nathaniel Wood dealt with them the way a young, up-and-coming prospect would, right? And you would think that O'Malley is going to have that as well. O'Malley, known, obviously, for the striking. He's got that big finish in the LFA card, spinning hook kick.
He's been doing a lot of grappling during his layoff.
Yeah, dude. His grappling's improved massively, and I think that's a great path to victory.
Poor guy had to take on Hector Lombard, though. Like, that's not fair. I didn't see that was on Quintet or something like that. I actually didn't see it, but like now I feel like I have to like watch it afterwards. Like that, you got submitted in the first round, but it's just like, what did you expect? Like, Hector Lombard is an absolute like.
Well, first of all, he's a judo Olympian who's also a BJJ black belt and walks around on 210 pounds.
He's a tree stump.
Yeah. Basically. Also, they don't test in Quintet, so you don't want to fucking face Hector Lombard, buddy.
Hector Lombard, he was coming in like, you know, just Japanese MMA.
His Bellator days. You remember he just touched people and they would fold over into a pile of heat.
32 fights in a row.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, I think we're on the same agreement on O'Malley. Price tag is not desirable, but yeah, he's the superior fighter. He's shown that already, and we're expecting an even better version of him. So question marks aside of the layoff and all those other things, I feel like he's obviously the player.
Mark the Olympian. Madsen takes on Austin Hubbard. Madsen minus 220, Hubbard plus 180. Madsen is like 35 years old. This guy has like a decorated wrestling background. Believe he was like a 4-time medalist at the World Championships.
He was a silver medalist at the Olympics too.
Silver medalist at the Olympics. Like, and the guy looks like he is built like a shipwreck house for 155 pounds. Very, very strong. I mean, he took on Danilo Belluardo, which was like a tailor-made matchup for him. It's just like, oh, this guy likes to grapple too, but he is not on this level. He grabbed those underhooks real fast, and he does the kind of like on guys that I want to bet on. He does exactly what he's going for those underhooks pretty much immediately, ripping the guy to the ground and then just smashing.
Smash.
I saw it at like minus 190 last night. It moved up to minus 220. As long as Madsen can like he doesn't have some like real weak chin or something, like I think he smashes here. What about you?
Yeah, I actually completely agree. 220 and is not even that bad of a price tag.
No.
The only thing that worries me here is I'm going back to that Zelim Ilmadayev thing. It's like you haven't seen
But
what
we saw
everyone.
it in the UFC at least once.
Yeah, once.
Yeah.
And how are you supposed to deal with a guy that's that inferior to you? You should smoke him out of there in 90 seconds or less, which is exactly what he did.
Yep.
I think there's a lot to be seen. The main thing with Madsen, though, is the people around him rave about this guy's athleticism and his cardio. Apparently,
looks like it.
apparently we seen him do it for a minute and 21 seconds. Apparently he can do it for 15 minutes all day long.
He looks like it.
He's got a massive wrestling advantage here over Austin Hubbard, and he's not one of those guys like Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero is a fantastic wrestler, but you have to wonder, is he going to even wrestle in this fight? Is he going to wrestle consistently in this fight? You don't have to worry about that with Madsen. Like, he knows he doesn't have the other skills
He
currently.
looks light enough on his feet, but
Looks light
like,
enough on the feet.
He has an objective, and he goes for that
Yeah.
objective real fast.
Yeah, and they brought this guy over from Denmark to the UFC Performance Institute, and they like ran him through a bunch of tests that all of the UFC athletes go through. And apparently, it's like the doctors
off the
there
charts.
were just shocked, like, holy fuck, how does a 35-year-old man compete at this level? So now you see him come to the UFC, and they've got to push this guy along. I don't want to see him be like Gregor Gillespie, where he wastes his time for 6 fights and never makes any improvements, and then gets exposed. It's like he beat Bellaruardo, who's the shits. Austin Hubbard can't be overlooked because
the
like
time is now
he's
to
going to give him
get
some
this
rounds,
guy moving, right?
but he's
It's like,
35.
you have to, yeah.
He needs to smoke through
And he's a
Hubbard.
155 pounder. Like a 35-year-old heavyweight, you'd be like, we got about like 5 years with this guy. It's like 35-year-old lightweight. It's like the athleticism for most people, and this guy doesn't seem like most people, is going to start to kind of fade away.
Of course.
But right now, the guy's, he's super jacked. The wrestling is proven to be on point, like crazy credentials. I mean, yeah, I think he's like my favorite guy on the card.
Yeah, and if he was taking on a murderous power puncher, you'd be like, does he have a chin? But it's like, I don't know that Hubbard's got the tools to expose that. And honestly, I think Hubbard's just going to get taken. It's going to decision. My opinion, Madsen smoked through Bellaruardo, but I think this one goes to decision.
Okay.
I think he takes him down. I think he works him.
Draftkings, if we get lots of takedowns. I mean, Hubbard
Lots of
probably,
takedowns would be great, but I
Hubbard
don't know how he
probably
gets
won't
up.
get back up, so it could just be 3 takedowns and a lot of top position.
Yeah, but like Hubbard's proven,
that
Hubbard's
can pay
proven
off.
he does not have great takedown defense, and that will ultimately be his detriment. But still, he hasn't been knocked out. He's been submitted one time. It was years ago. He's fought lots. He's fought at a decent level. He is improving. Still only 28. Trains at elevation. Got teammates on this card. There's some stuff to like about him. It's just Marco Madsen should blow right through him, or at the very least dominate, which is what I think. Dominate for 3 rounds and pick up the decision victory.
Rodolfo Vieira takes on Saperbeg Safarov. Vieira minus 750, Safarov plus 500. Here's the thing. One guy's nickname is the Black Belt Hunter, and one guy lost a first-round submission by Kimura to Tyson Pedro.
What do you think?
I don't think we have to spend too much time on this. Rodolfo Vieira, actually, his takedown in his UFC debut, like, I actually was kind of impressed with, like, his level change. A lot of the jiu-jitsu guys come in here, and you're like, well, if you can't, if you don't have, like, the Damian Maia, like, progressional takedowns, or you don't have at least, like, a good drop to a double leg or something like that, then how are you going to get it to the ground? This guy looks like he can probably get it to the ground. Saperbeg Safarov will probably try to grab the fence and hold on for dear life, but I think eventually Vieira gets the first round submission here. Like, I'm not too worried about him, nor should I be at minus 750. But yeah, I think he cruises here. It's a setup matchup for him to roll.
Okay, so I totally agree, and I also don't think Safarov's 33. I think he's lying about that. yeah.
Here we go.
For sure. He only has one
He's
ACL.
the
by
reverse
the way.
Romero, basically.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is so tailor-made for Vieira to win. It's just 750. I know we've talked about deep price tags. There's nothing to be made on that on a singular bet right off the hop.
Of course.
You would have to improve it by taking first-round submission. But I can't guarantee you it would be a first-round submission. I mean, he took 2 rounds to take down Pachota and finish off Pachota. If he doesn't take Safarov down the first round and he submits him in the second, it's like, man, there goes our first-round finish prop. Maybe you take the under 1.5 on this. That seems fair. It's just, he didn't look great against Oscar Pachota. I was touting this guy because as far as his jiu-jitsu career goes, he's the man.
I mean, when he got
Stars is
into his
regional.
position, that squeeze on that arm and triangle, like you can
know.
see, there's that looked like it was so tight. It's like world class, of course.
World class. And again, I think you definitely nailed it right on the head when you were like, he's taking on a guy that got submitted by a Kimura, not a very effective move in high-level MMA. And literally, he shot like oh man, it was just, the whole setup to it was just comical.
Yeah.
And you're getting submitted by that guy, you've got no shot on the ground here. But the one thing is that like his takedown defense could be a little bit better than we were expecting.
Fair.
And if Rodolfo Vieira struggles to get the fight to the ground initially, he's not a very good striker.
There shouldn't be very many ifs when you're paying this price.
No, there shouldn't be very many ifs, right? So as far as DraftKings, which we're going to get to shortly here, I think you go with Vieira for sure. I mean, he's likely going to finish the fight. The 750, the only thing I personally can do with this is put it on a parlay. And we just talked about at the top of the show, like who's going to shit in our parlay? God, I would hate it to be this spot, but I'm confident Vieira.
Yeah.
It's just 750 is.
That's fair. I mean,
You know what I
what
mean?
else? Well, yeah, there's not much else to say. The price is just, it's just really, like, I don't think that Madsen and Vieira's chances are all that much different, and their prices couldn't be any more different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, we're coming off, remember I told you fucking Timothy Johnson, old big Tim Johnson. He's got no business being Tyrell Fortune. I'm the idiot that bet Tyro because I just put him on parlays. What the fuck? He's 850. He's gonna run through Tim Johnson.
They never make those prices like that in the UFC anymore.
No, we all learned our lesson because we learned our lesson.
Any heavyweight over plus 500 is just. Oh, I guess I shouldn't have left this thing on the desk the entire time. It's not even my coffee cup. That's Pat's.
Fucking Mayo.
There's still coffee in it.
What I'm saying is, you always used to say, "Hey, heavyweights, anything can happen."
Any
But
heavyweight over plus 500.
Light heavyweights, and
what?
Vieira is one of those
No,
jiu-jitsu
yeah,
guys that we haven't seen get popped
I
in
know,
the
but I'm
face
talking
really
about
hard.
you having Tyrell Fortune at minus 850 on parlays.
God, that was stupid.
Heavyweights, just shit happens, man. Guys
Fuck,
get
I'm
knocked
such
out.
an
It's just
idiot.
bad.
You know
just
what?
happens
Again,
out of nowhere all the time.
Right. If it was you, but you couldn't bet him. You couldn't bet him straight up and just lost that one singular bet. So you put him on some parlays, and it's just like, man, what a shitty way to find out he wasn't as good as you thought. It was also a crushing fucking right hand that hit him in the face because this is the fight game. So Safarov's only path to victory. He knows if he gets taken down, he's screwed. So what's his path to victory? Light this guy up as quick as possible. Anyways, yeah, we've obviously got Vieira. I'm just saying 750 is not the desirable price tag for me personally.
Duran Winn minus 150. Gerald Meerschaert plus 130. I'd like to think that like Winn would be able to like, you know, utilize a very impressive, ground game. He's so short that it's like you have to use that wrestling. Like guys are just so much bigger and you have bigger reach. But I just don't really trust this guy's gas tank. He missed weight last time. Like I really wanted to believe in it, but I don't know. Like him gassing last fight and missing weight and stuff, like it made it hard for me to trust him in anything. And Gerald Meerschaert is always in like real greasy fights. He's got decent submission skills. I mean, Duran Winn doesn't have a neck, so like, and I don't know if he's gonna get submitted, but I could see Gerald Meerschaert definitely finding a way to like grease this one out, whether it's by decision or finding a submission at some point. It's a stay away from me. What's your take here?
Yeah, well, I'm the fool that generally goes one more time with the busted prospect. It worked out for Pena last week, but yeah, Duran Winn's definitely got me worried. Again, he's a guy that before you ever saw anything real on tape, the word is that just the guy's unbelievable. His wrestling's awesome. He's Daniel Cormier's hitman. He's the next Daniel Cormier. He's short and he's stocky, but he makes it work, and all these different great things, right? Then we saw him in the Tito versus Liddell 3 pay-per-view, which was the most abysmal thing of all time, that Golden Boy show, and he fought Tom Lawler, and he didn't look all that good, truth be told. Tom Lawler's in pro wrestling these days, doesn't fight anymore. Didn't look all that good. Then he debuts against Eric Spicely. How much more of a tailor-made matchup could you want than Eric Spicely? He can only grapple, and the chances of him taking you down are absolutely slim to none. Yeah, again, he didn't look good against Eric Spicely. He gave Eric Spicely Spicely gave him a good go. Fight went the distance. Now you realize he's too small at 185 because of the shortness. He doesn't have Daniel Cormier power. In fact, he doesn't really seemingly have much power. He likes throwing his hands. Not a whole lot of power there. So Spicely's not known for a great chin, but again, can't take out Spicely. Now it's Darren Stewart, another tailor-made opponent in that this guy's Britain. He can't wrestle. But it's like,
has improved a lot.
Yeah, he has improved.
We have to say that.
Right, but it's also a case it's also a case of Darren Winn not as looking good as we thought. Deron Winn not as looking good as we thought. I mean, now this is 3 fights in a row against Lawler, Spicely, and Stewart, guys that shouldn't be on the level of contender status.
Guys who are probably on the same level as like Gerald Meerschaert.
Yeah, and like again, Wynn's 30, so he's got to be a polished prospect at this case, right? He trains at AKA alongside the best guys that you could possibly want, and still is not really making those fundamental improvements. And then he's wrestled his whole life. How can he not make 185 pounds? He's not even that big for the weight class.
He's like 5'6".
It makes no sense. So then it's like, okay, is there discipline issues? Is this guy in the gym every day grinding as hard as we believe he is? Maybe he's just not as good as we thought. I don't know. And then the flip side of that is Meerschaert's literally made a career to this point of exposing people, of making people work, of catching the late finish, over getting beat up by Trevin Giles and staying in the fight long enough to submit him. You know, like, He's a very tricky fighter. As far as his wrestling goes, it is fucking awful. Like, I don't see him taking down Deron Winn. No chance. No chance. He has taken down lesser wrestlers in the UFC, but it's just, he's not strong enough and he doesn't have the technique. He's not getting Winn down. The problem is that he's much bigger, taller-wise, anyways, lengthwise than Winn. And he throws more output than Winn. Winn likes to counter with a few punches at a time, but is there a way that Meerschaert just outworks him? Yeah, the way Meerschaert outworks him. I can't believe that. First of all, I ain't in the business of ever betting on Gerald Meerschaert. He's cost me money.
Yeah.
I mean, there's sometimes I wish I had him, but like, I do not bet Gerald Meerschaert. No chance. And this ain't going to be one of them. Winn, meanwhile, I have been betting, and I'm just like, he's 1-1 in the UFC. He has not looked good in both fights. And he's lost me money because he was a big favorite in his debut, so he didn't make a ton there. He was a big favorite in his second fight, and he lost me a bunch. So, yeah, like, I don't have the faith in him, but as far as busted prospect goes, it's like even a busted prospect.
Hopefully he comes in on
with
weight
that skill set.
And maybe that was just like a learning period for him. And hopefully I mean, it's not rocket science. The clear problem here is that he probably can't utilize that wrestling for 3 rounds without gassing himself.
Yes, and therein lies the last point that I'll make on this is that I would be way more confident in Deron Winn if I could believe exactly what you're saying. Is that like, man, I bet he went back to the gym, and I bet you guys like DC were like, hey, man, you got to be making weight. You got to take it seriously.
Get on the bike right now.
And all those things. Like, he took down Darren Stewart half a dozen times with the nicest takedowns. He could not hold him down at all. Meerschaert, you can hold down. The problem is he's going to throw up a lot of submissions. I feel like Wynn's just going to stay out of the submissions, stay on top, go through the motions, win another decision, Deron Winn style. But the last point there is being that he fought Darren Stewart 5 months ago. Has he made a ton of improvements in 5 months? Has he shored up everything in 5 months? I don't know. I don't know. I would say tread lightly, but minus 150 is the kind of price that like I'm willing to take a jab at.
That's fair. We got Polyana Viana taking on Emily Whitmire. Whitmire, slight favorite, minus 115, minus 105 Viana. So it's a pick-em fight. You have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so it's the hardest of the hard passes. I mean, first of all, with Viana, here's a little bit of fraud going on here. You read any of her like grappling credentials, like this girl's a great grappler. She's gone to many competitions. She's a world championship level grappler. And she got submitted by motherfucking armbar by Veronica Macedo in a minute. So how good of a grappler is she, Paul? And the flip side to that is Emily Whitmire, who's also a wrestler grappler, has no takedown. Well, I shouldn't say, I'm being very harsh. Her takedown defense is her issue, and when we've seen her in the UFC, she's also getting submitted. Viana has all the skills, seemingly, to get on top and submit her. But she never pulls the trigger. The J.J. Aldrich fight, it's like she took her down in the first round. No, she never really attempted to take her down. When she ended up on top, it was like, here's your path. J.J. easily got up. It's like, man, where was that world-class grappling? Hannah Cyphers. Split decision loss. She just got outworked by her. And then the Veronica Macedo fight, who we were on Macedo. We jumped off Viana by this point. Macedo submits her in the first round. It's just like, well, I didn't expect that to be the path of victory. Macedo's going to submit this BJJ black belt inside of the first round with an armbar, just not getting it. So Whitmire, full-time out of Extreme Couture, 28 years old, making slight improvements. But again, she's what, 4-3 in the UFC, right? She got blasted on the Ultimate Fighter. And since then, her run has just been so limited. Again, the hardest of the hard passes. And the bookie, just to make it extra for you, is making it an even fight. No, but they're making money either way because there's no plus money on this. It's not like you can dog or pass it. You just need to pass it.
We got Jamal Emmers taking on Giga Chikadze. Emmers minus 160, Chikadze plus 140. All I'm going to say about this one, Cody, is friends do not let friends bet minus 160 on people who got knocked out in the first round by Juicy J.
Yeah, that is
Your
that
thoughts?
is fair. That is fair. I am going to bet Jamal Emmers because friends do not let friends bet on glory kickboxers who have made zero improvements to their ground game and didn't have a whole lot of power to begin with. Like, Giga should be, everyone wants him to be good. When he transitioned over to MMA, they gave him the worst opponents possible to build this guy up. It's just not for him, man. He's a kickboxer. He should be standing in kickboxing with guys. As far as his wrestling goes, it ain't there, and it ain't getting any better. Now, here's Emmers' problem. His ring IQ apparently is non-existent. Why did he not try to take down Julian Rosa? Why did he not shoot one single takedown? This is a guy that was a high school wrestling standout. He's a guy that wrestled collegiately, and he is a awesome.
He just wants to bang, bro.
I think. See, this is my greasy theory on it. Okay, I think if you're Jamal Emmers, you go into those fights, right? If someone told me I'm Jamal Emmers, and someone told me Thiago Moises, okay, is going to outstrike me, I would be like, no, you're fucking crazy. I know how to strike. This guy's not a great striker. I'll beat him. He stands with him. He got caught at the end of the 5th round, close to the end of the 5th round, and he got knocked out. Did not win the RFA title as a result. He goes on, he beats guys like Corey Sandhagen, Rivaldo Jr. Those are pretty much his big wins, but I mean, those still good wins. Caio Machado. The Julian Rosa fight. I think he probably had the assumption of, I can beat Julian Rosa standing up. Now he gets kicked in the face. Now I got a problem. Maybe I'm not as good as a striker as I believe. But when you fight Giga Chikadze, he's not Julian Erosa, right? He's not some guy who strikes a little bit, grapples a little bit, wrestles a little bit. He's a guy that only strikes. So Emmers would have to be a fool to not just take him down. Now we tape study Emmers. And Emmers never takes the guy down early. He literally always stands for a prolonged period of time before eventually committing to the takedown. But it's when he commits to the takedown. His wrestling's good. His grappling's good. Giga Chikadze cannot wrestle, and that is going to be the biggest detriment here. When I go back to Giga, again, this is just quick for people at home here. He comes over from Glory, okay? He loses his debut against a guy that was 4-1. So they're like, oh shit, he got exposed already. We got to build him back up. He fights 0-0, 1-10, 0-13, 0-1, 0-0. Then they gave him a Contender Series fight. He had never fought a guy who even had a win. He fought the worst of the worst. He gets a Contender Series fight against Austin Springer. Austin Springer took him down and choked him out in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
They didn't even give Austin Springer the contract, by the way. They were like, wow, because he's not very good. Wow. So what does Giga do? He beats a guy that's 2-31, and then a guy that was 0-1. And they gave him a UFC contract anyways against Brandon Davis. Brandon Davis took him down 3 times.
Yeah.
But he won a split over Brandon Davis in a close fight. Jamal Emmers is a way better wrestler than Brandon Davis. He just can't be a fool and decide, I want to stand with Chikadze.
But he may be a fool.
He may be. And in the event he is a fool, Giga is a world-class kickboxer, not known for his power.
Yeah, fair.
He's got the Giga kick, which is a body kick, by the way, but like not a power puncher. Good guy with his kicks. He's got a Kyokushin karate background. He'll get taken down. When he gets taken down, Emmers is going to shine. Emmers is my play here.
Fair. Still scary.
Of course. Come on.
And then we got Dana Batgerel taking on Guido Cannetti. Minus 135 Batgerel, plus 115 Cannetti. My old saying on the show used to be you can't spell Cannetti without can. So I don't know. This is like a hard pass. There's so many good fights on this card that like I don't need to get off to a bad start with these two guys. This is the old school cranberry sauce fight of the night. It's just like how'd these guys end up here? Do you have a hard take on either side or?
No, I don't have a hard take on either side at all. I mean, Dana Batgerel, yeah, I mean, Mongolian wrestling champion apparently debuts against Haley Adelang, should have the wrestling advantage. I didn't think he looked good. Listen, the guy's tough. He just moves forward. He'll get hit. He'll try to hit. Seems like he can go. Seems like he's got a decent gas tank. He's gritty, but like the skills aren't there, man. I mean, the personality's there. The desire to be a fighter is there. The toughness, again, like I said, that's there. But that's about as far as it goes. Cannetti, meanwhile, just chucks bombs. I mean, he goes out there and he does his damnedest to put up a fight. Problem is, he's got durability issues. He either knocks you out in the 1st round or the wheels just kind of fall off for him. Now at 40 years old, which is Cannetti is, remember he got suspended by USADA for like 2 years, and he was 38. He comes back, he's 40. It's his first fight against Marlon Vieira. He got submitted in the second round. He started out decent in the first round, but again, like, he was never a durable guy in his prime. We never saw him in his prime because he was on the Ultimate Fighter. He was like 36 already. He pulled out a couple upsets just based on his striking prowess and be able to, kind of spur guys early. But his problem is that, like, he's a more talented fighter than Batgerel, but Batgerel's got the durability. So I feel like Cannetti probably gets off to a good start in the first round, maybe early in the second round. But once this Mongolian guy just keeps coming at him and grinds him down, it's going to get dicey. Hard pass is the move here. I mean, 115 on Cannetti is not... If he was 135, 145, maybe I would suggest that dogger pass. And as far as Batgerel goes, he's had 3 fights in the last, 5 years, and he's 2-1 and has fought very, very low-level competition. There's no reason that you could have a ton of faith in him in this spot. So I would have to say it's a pass.
You want to do Draftkings Breakdown or you want to do your quick picks first? Your call.
We'll do
Choose your own
DraftKings.
adventure.
Yeah. Let's do DraftKings. Okay, so
Thanks to Testudo1111.
printing out the
He makes these things every single week. I usually retweet them, but we're using his sheets.
Yeah, Tetsudo's
he
a
just
good guy.
lays it out real nice.
2019 MMA World Cup champion.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Don't forget.
Okay, so looking at it, we got Adesanya $9,200 versus Yoel Romero. Maybe this is definitely one of these main events you want some exposure to. If Yoel does decide to use his wrestling and score some takedowns and was able to make this an interesting fight, $7,000 seems worth it for him. Flip side to that with Adesanya. With no threat of no takedowns, with no threat of any ground transitions, he is going to have to score 100-plus significant strikes, at least. Hopefully get some knockdowns or get a finish in order to get up to 9,200. Because he's super popular and a lot of people do like him.
He usually throws around 20 per round anyway. He can totally get there. If Adesanya gets to a 5-round fight, Adesanya can definitely get over 100 points, but
he could definitely get over 100 points. He's going to be higher ownership. I
high.
feel like there's definitely other options on this card that are going to be a little bit low ownership, as high of an upside, and
this card is very difficult. I think at the top of the pricing, all of the top 5 people, you're I could see all of them getting to 130, and then they end up being must plays, right?
Yeah. Going on to Zhang versus Jedrzejczyk. Zhang $8,900 versus $7,300 for Jedrzejczyk. Geez, as much as I just said Zhang is the move, $7,300 for Jedrzejczyk. Even if she doesn't win, if this is a banger of a fight that goes 25 minutes and she lands 100 significant strikes and ends up with 50 points and a loss, that's not optimal in a GPP. But as far as cash game goes, not that bad. If Zhang catches her and knocks her out, then she's going to be made up to her value. But again, like you're saying, if she's landing 20 per round over the course of 5, that's 50
strikes.
It's 100 strikes, 50 points.
Plus a decision.
Right. She's not going to
looking for knockdowns, maybe the odd takedown to kind of get you to that barrier at that point.
Now, for whatever reason, I do honestly feel like the KO for Zhang is on the table, and that's the move that I'm going to pursue myself. So Zhang at $8,900, not a terrible play. I feel like she's going to be way lower owned than Joanna Jedrzejczyk. Or sorry, not Joanna Jedrzejczyk.
Zhang inside the
Adesanya.
distance plus 145 is probably maybe a thing that you're looking at too.
Yeah, because again,
At that rate.
If she, there's many ways that the fight could play out, but she's got the power to hurt her, and I feel like the writing's kind of on the wall there. That's not exactly my immediate move. If I was to give you guys one single lineup, I'm not 100% saying they're going to be that one big player that I'm going to pay up for, but I'm saying I'd like it a little. I like it better than Adesanya. Dariush versus Klose. Klose, he's such a decision machine. Sorry, at $7,500, even as the value play, I'm not seeing it. Thing with Daniel Dariush,
he just doesn't score big, even when he wins decisions.
Yeah, Dariush, meanwhile, he could outstrike him. He could get some takedowns. I don't see the finish personally, but he could just beat him up for the course of 15 minutes and score big. Klose usually doesn't lead to opponents scoring big on him either. It's mostly just a slower tempoed fight, not a whole lot going on either side. I feel like this one's going to be a pass for myself personally, but I do see some merit to Beneil Dariush. Jinglang Li versus Neil Magny. I'm going to have to take a pass on this one. Lee at $8,600 could be that sleeper play because Magny has been hurt. He has been knocked out. He's coming off a 14-month layoff. He's coming in. If Lee just goes out there and puts the pressure on him right off the get-go and smashes him
in the first round,
for
$8,600, he's gonna be that little key play because he's not going to be very much owned, I don't think.
Absolutely. The flip side to that,
this middle range is going to kind of get overlooked, I think, a lot.
Yeah. And I think that there's some merit to Magny as well at $7,600 because he's got to get his wrestling going. But if he gets his wrestling going and he secures you 3-4 takedowns, and then as far as being on the ground, he's going to have ground transitions, he's going to have some ground and pound, he's going to have the decision victory. I would say he gets up to 76 points anyways. Alex Oliveira, 8,400. That one's interesting to me because of the wrestling advantage, because of that he's a wily, guy. He
comes out to try to get the finish early.
He just goes for it. And whereas Griffin has shown some durability, it's like I wouldn't put it past Oliveira to catch him with something up against the cage and just pour it on him and force that stoppage. So 8,400, I think there's some good upside to him. Griffin, meanwhile, at 7,800, he's proven to be a decision guy. He stands on the outside, he outpoints you. He's not trying to take you down. He's not trying to outgrapple you. There's limited avenues for him scoring points. O'Malley, 9,100. Quinonez, I don't know about his durability. Yeah, he got submitted by Nathaniel Wood, but he's fought in so low level of competition. Like I couldn't tell you if he can get his ass kicked for 10 minutes and persevere through it. But O'Malley not only has the perceived striking advantage, I do believe he'll have the wrestling and grappling advantage as well. I think he makes it interesting. I think he mixes it up. He'll probably also be high ownership, but maybe because of the 2-year-long layoff.
Exactly. With
the question marks.
With Adesanya and
maybe it causes him
Madsen
to be
and
less.
Vieira all there. Like, I don't know how long he's going to be at all.
I just feel like because he's a fan favorite in what they're seemingly as a comeback fight, the UFC set this guy up to come back and have an easy win. If that's the perception, and he is a big fan favorite,
it's going to be kind of spread out. But I think the main event and the co-main event, just because it's 5 rounds, are going to be significantly more owned, and rightfully so. It's hard to give up those extra 2 rounds. Like an extra 2 rounds, if it goes 5 rounds, it just creates such a better floor for you,
Yeah, and then rounding it off, we got Mark Madsen, the huge wrestling advantage. I think we're both in agreement that he's got all the paths to either maybe get a finish. I think he's just going to go cruise for 15 minutes, but in cruising for 15 minutes, I think he scores up pretty decently. He's definitely someone I got my eye on for sure. Rodolfo Vieira, as much as I don't like the 750, it's like, this is DK. I have to go for it, right? I have to make a 6-fight parlay, and I want him to be a part of my 6-fight parlay.
Inside the distance is minus 275.
Yes, but 9,300 means I'm probably not going to be able to afford some of those mid-level guys by a few $100. And if I take Madsen over Vieira and save that $300, believe me, on this card, it's going to help.
It helps in terms of
it's going to help.
That last person in is for sure, yeah.
Winn, as far as the money line goes, I'm going with Winn for the win. As far as DraftKings goes, like, no chance. The one thing, though, is he can score lots of takedowns.
And if he can't hold Gerald Meerschaert down.
He'll gas himself.
If he can't hold Gerald Meerschaert down and Meerschaert keeps getting back up, we could get a lot of takedowns. That is the risk, but then you're still running the. I mean,
even though he's only 8,300 and he has that huge wrestling advantage, here's what I'll tell you the problem.
I'm willing to play him on the pretense of he doesn't have a neck, so I don't think he's gonna get submitted.
Yeah, that's true.
And if he gets a bunch of takedowns, it creates a real floor for you. It could be like a situation like. There's been a couple recently.
Oh, yeah.
Dariush really the other day too, or Brown the other week. Yeah, it's where you get like a whole bunch of early takedowns here. Something bad happens.
Still got a lot of points.
He had already banked
67 points.
Yeah, or in this situation, he's already got like 40 points banked, and like at the end of the night, those 40 points it determines whether you cash or not.
Yeah,
I just don't know if he's got the biggest upside.
Yeah, my thing is I don't see him having the punching power to knock out Meerschaert, who's I wouldn't say chinny, but like that he's vulnerable. It's just he doesn't have the punching power to expose that per se. As far as the wrestling goes, here's the one thing that kind of gets me. If he gets the takedown, especially the way the Darren Stewart fight went, he's not looking to pass. He's going to look to get you down and establish position, control, and hold you down. He needs to get a victory. He needs to get back in the win column. I don't think he's definitely not going to go on and style Meerschaert on the ground. So even though he's only $8,300, if he goes out there and gets 6 takedowns, that's 30 points on takedowns. Very little significant strikes. You probably could, in a victory, only get 60, 70 points, and that's what I wouldn't want.
Yeah, that's part. Yeah, you're right.
Meerschaert has done a great job at scoring huge as an underdog, but you're not going to score that much off your back, and because I feel he's going to lose this fight, I can't go Meerschaert.
Yeah, you usually scores pretty well. Even in defeat, he scores pretty well.
Guy goes for it. He's in fun, exciting, scrappy fights, but there's a difference between getting takedowns against Kevin Holland and getting takedown against Deron Winn. Like, there's a massive difference. Viana and Whitmire, it's like, you know what? I don't see them scoring big either way, but that could be one of those things where like Viana got Whitmire down and submitted her early, and for $8,100 she's on the optimal lineup. I played a few lineups. She won on all of them. Somebody played 150 lineups. Had one of these two on a few of them. And, when I say Viana could catch Whitmire could catch Viana. Viana literally just got caught by Veronica Macedo, who's too small for the weight class.
It's probably the low-owned, like, GPP bullet kind of play. If you're playing tons of lineups, like maybe get a little bit of exposure to that type of fight, because the winner, Like, I'm not saying lots, because you're not going to need lots to, like, match the field, I imagine. I'm guessing they're probably only going to be in, like, the 15 to 20% range of ownership, which is super, super low.
Yeah, and then as far as Jamal Emmers, like, I can't be giving away all my secrets, but Jamal Emmers is my DK shoe-in of the week. I think he's going to fucking score big here, man.
That's a boot, though. Don't wait and see it.
Oh, okay.
That's not too sharp.
Then why did you fucking say it was a boot, Paul? They might have believed it.
Is it a boot? It's, It's a low cut. It's a high cut shoe or a low cut boot. I don't know which.
I'll tell you. Let's make it interesting.
glass half
If
full
Jamal
or empty?
Emmers loses,
Oh God.
obviously a possibility he does. If Jamal Emmers lose, and I made him my DK shoe-in of the week, I'll fucking do a shoey out of this boot. All right, shoey. Next week's episode. If Jamal Emmers loses, and trust me, Paul. Well, you're not spitting in it. First of all, I know a shoey. You got to get the guy to spit in it. Fuck that. I'll pour a beer and then drink it. But yeah, please, Emmers, don't fuck this on me. I don't want to do the shoey, and that's why I'm not offering to do it.
Shoe-in of the week. I
This
love
is
it.
my shoe-in. Anyways,
Let's
yeah,
go.
the 8,500, because he's got that wrestling advantage, he could score a bunch of takedowns. Giga's not going to get back up. Emmers going to take him down. Maybe Giga gets up one time. Emmers takes him back down. Emmers submits him with the rear naked choke. I see that finish, $8,500. Give me some Jamal Emmers. And then rounding it out, I don't want neither part. Cannety's the kind of guy that at 8,000...
These guys may be like 5%.
Yeah,
owned.
yeah.
And
Cannetti-
maybe Cannetti comes out hot.
He does, but this other guy's just super durable Mongolian
Yeah.
guy is going to take the shots. And then even if Batgerel perseveres and breaks down Cannetti, you know what? $8,200. I'm gonna have to look a little more. That could be somebody I end
That
up
could be
with.
that would be a real sneak.
But I have to retape study that entire fight because up until this point, from what I did look at, it was a pass. There just wasn't any like significant lean.
All right, one more thing before you're the PRP. Ankalaev versus Cutelaba.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay,
What's your take on everything?
Okay, so the take's pretty much the same as everybody else. I'll give you a hot take after this one, but the take's the same as everybody else for the most part. He looked like he was bobbing, and I've seen. Okay, this is gonna sound fucking
But when you look
ridiculous.
close and you were
It's gonna sound
watching
ridiculous.
it, it didn't look like you. I could tell.
No, I could tell.
I
I
could
could
tell by
tell.
watching that he was blocking those shots. Right, he was getting his arms up.
I'll be honest, okay? The first time he does it, right? The first time he got kicked and he stood there and he was like that, I was like, oh shit, maybe he's stunned. And then he's blocking and he's still doing it.
Yeah, and you're
then
like, all right,
and
this
then
is bullshit.
It clicked on me right away. Where have I seen this
But
before?
like Kevin
I have
McDonald's in
seen
a
that
really,
before.
really hard spot.
I saw that shit on Felony Fights, right? Straight up. That was the guy's thing, right? And he fucking bobbed. He bobbed.
And then
Now,
threw an overhand.
yeah, well, he bobs, and then it causes you to be like, fuck it. And you try to hit him, and then he's looking to counter. In
Yep.
this point, I don't think if they were standing in front of each other, I don't think his game plan would have been bob. He said after the fight that part of the game plan was, I was hurt. I think it was the way the fight went. It's like, not only did Ankalaev throw that kick, the head kick, thought he had him stunned, Ankalaev was convinced. He went for it. He was not saving nothing for the swim back home. He was going for it. And then at that point, it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to bait him. Block. I'm okay. I'm going to bait him. I'm going to
Let's
bait
get
him.
this guy to gas himself, and then, or we just catch him with a massive club. Like that's what
You know what? Of the three-
that was for his strategy. Like that was the best way for him to probably win that fight. Like Ankalaev's got the much cleaner, better technical striking. He's an amazing wrestler, so it's like Cutelaba was looking to get into a brawl and win that type of thing based on guys super durable for the most part.
You know what the greatest? This is
That was his best path to victory. So I think it was actually it was smart to a degree because the problem
Obviously wasn't in hindsight.
The problem is when you start pretending like you're hurt and there's a referee in there his job is to try to make sure that you don't get hurt. I mean, you're running the risk of exactly what Kevin McDonald doing happening. I mean, just rebook the fight. Let's see it again because that looked like it was gonna be so much fun. And I feel like we missed out.
But I mean, it depends what the referee is there. We've seen guys get hurt before and come back from it. So at what point is it your discretion to be like, oh man, this guy's way too hurt? Not only that, it's like you're there. You're the closest guy to the action, right? You're seeing it. You know who the closest guy in that fight was to getting knocked out? Motherfucking referee when that overhand right almost hit him. It's like this guy is all the way with it. Why did you think because of the head bob that he was suddenly all that hurt? I don't know. Why would you stop a fight where the guy hasn't even hit the ground yet? Like he's still standing, blocking punches, throwing stuff back? I don't know. Again, I don't know. But that's the problem with the referee. Like you're not sure. Do I let the guy fight through? Do I stop the fight? And in this case, it was a bad move.
Just book it again and bring back the heart sign.
You know, my
Mario
issue...
Yamasaki will let those guys be warriors.
Yeah.
And then we can all have a good time. Because that fight was just looking like it was going to be absolute chaos.
Yeah, and listen, book it again. I had Ankalaev to win the fight. The fact that he won, great. I had him on DK. The fact they gave him a first-round stoppage, even better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, dude, we've been on the other side of the fence. Of course. And I would be pissed off if I had Cutelaba, right? But in the same breath, no one's complaining about the headbutt in the main event. As a referee, okay? As a fucking referee, both guys clash heads. You see it. You see the replay. He's looking right at him. And like a faucet, Benavidez' head starts running blood. He backs up. The first thing you do is you call a halt. Doctor comes, checks it out. It's an unintentional foul. Benavidez actually initiated. Okay, I get it. It's an unintentional foul. You got to call a halt in this and look at the cut. I get it. He clashes. He sees it. He opts not to do anything. Figueiredo throws the first punch. Benavidez blocks the first punch, gets out of range, and then touches his own head. Like, oh my God, what happened? Touches his head.
He's probably a little bit concussed.
Yeah, it's left hand. As he's left hand touching his head, he eats a right hand right down the pipe, doesn't see it coming. He's knocked out, and now the division is in disarray because the guy that missed weight is given the victory from a head
Sounds like
clash.
they're going to rebook that shit.
They announce at the arena before the card starts, new rules in effect, replay, you can use it. Nobody even fucking bothers to look at the replay.
I mean, MMA
even
rules
though it's a
in
clean
general,
day.
it's just, it's the wild, wild west.
It should have been
like,
a no
it's so much
contest.
more professional now than it used to be, but it's still a fucking shit show. Like, anytime we go to Texas, it's a shit show. The judges scoring, but like, this is I don't know. There's part of your love for the sport is the chaos. If it makes any sense, there's always something crazy going on in MMA.
Yeah.
Like, there's always some sort of controversy, and it's just such a subjective sport that it's like, this shit's always going to happen, regardless of if you get certain people in. Like, people are always going to complain about decisions. Judging's never going to be perfect. People just see things differently. It's like basketball, there's a 3-point shot is a 3-point shot. A touchdown in football is a touchdown. It's like a takedown in MMA. It's just like, was a takedown? It looked like they kind of scrambled. Did that guy pull guard? Did that guy pull guard, or was that a takedown? Like, you know what I mean?
See, my issue is that I loved going and watching fights in high school, right? And then from there, you progress to like that early MMA stuff, and you watch tons of Pride. And it was like, when you went to a high school fight, okay? And you went back to class afterwards and you're talking with your buddies, it wasn't like, oh, dude, this guy won the first 2 rounds. It's like, who got fucked up more by the end of it? And that's the thing I see with these fights. You can win all 3 rounds, and your nose is broken, and your eyes swollen shut, and you're caught all over it, and the other guy doesn't have a nick on him because you just took him down and held him down the whole time. Is that a win? Yeah, it is, because we're going by this 10-point must system over the course of 3 rounds. If people think that's broken, then come up with a way to fix it. I think adding more judges, maybe like 5 judges, I don't know. There's obviously a lot of ideas that have been thrown around with how to fix it, but
yeah, and then I've heard
it's very subjective, man.
I've heard this other thing where people go, oh, well, like, what we should do is only people who have ever fought.
I don't like that.
Yeah, because you know what happens, and this is why you see it, like, you don't see too many, like, UFC fighter pick shows, because you know what happens when, like, we used to do these interviews for, like, Fight Network all the time. All those guys just pick the guys that they've trained with in the past. It's like, well, I spent some time at, like, Rufus Sports, so it's like, I don't want to piss off Anthony Pettis and pick him again. So it's like, all the guys, you're just like, oh yeah, these guys have all trained together. Like, they're not gonna, in front of a camera, pick against their friends type of thing.
Yeah, I'll one up on you on
so it's
that,
like,
right?
I think judges, they would probably get skewed as well. They'd be like, I trained with this guy a bit.
No, I'll tell you something. Let's go with that idea, okay? And we're gonna make our 3 judges, okay? Our 3 judges are gonna be Winn, right? Rodolfo Vieira, and Jing Liang Li. Okay, so Jing Liang Li looks at the fight, scores striking. He's a striker. He strikes. He sees the effect of strikes. He knows what the guy's doing. He's going to value that. Meanwhile, Winn's only scoring takedowns. Yeah, he's a wrestler. He's wrestled his whole life. He was fought MMA. He was a wrestler. He knows takedowns mean a lot. Whereas the other guy's only looking at submission attempts.
Yeah, Vieira's scoring the guy who's just on his back.
He's on his back for 5 minutes, but hey, he went for 2 or 3 submissions. The other guy hasn't thrown him shit. They're all professional fighters.
Yeah,
they're
everyone's
all
gonna have their biases.
They're all at the highest level. They're all looking at something different. So that's my piece on it. It's gonna be very hard to fix it.
And hit people with your quick picks here.
PRP. So we're gonna go Israel Adesanya. We're gonna go Zhang Weili. We're gonna go Beneil Dariush. Neil Magny, first dog. Alex Oliveira. Sean O'Malley. Marco Madsen. Rodolfo Vieira. Winn. Emily
These ones are
Whitmire.
great.
Emily Whitmire, that's the second one. And like I definitely don't feel great about it. Jamal Emmers and
That is the shoe-in, the DraftKings
yeah,
shoe-in
he's
of
the
week.
DK shoey for sure. And as far as dog on this card, I mean, yeah, I'm not high on a ton of dogs. And I've seen people say this is not a card with like the spots to make money are very obvious, and I would actually tend to agree with that. The favorites that you
The
like,
obvious ones
they
are
steamed
juiced
up
up.
pretty good. They steamed up pretty good. The ones that you don't like, there's a reason you don't like them. They're very iffy. But again, I mean, we're in the business of making plays on all of these for the fans and breaking them all down. And you know, I feel like you do the research, you put the time in, and we'll come out on the positive end of it. So good luck to everybody at home, and let's do this damn thing.
All right, that is it for us. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody Saftic and Zach, I am Paul saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience. Experience.